One of the most influential and celebrated writers in contemporary literature, Mario Vargas Llosa has left an indelible mark on the world's literary landscape with his prolific work and his commitment to exploring social, political, and human issues. Born on March 28, 1936 in Arequipa, Peru, Vargas Llosa has been awarded numerous prizes, including the Nobel Prize in Literature in 2010, in recognition of his narrative mastery and his ability to address universal issues with a unique and powerful voice. His life, marked by a tumultuous childhood, an exceptional literary career, and his political activism, is a testament to the passion, dedication, and commitment to the search for truth and justice through writing. In this video, we will explore the highlights of Mario Vargas Llosa's biography, as well as summarizing his main works. Jorge Mario Pedro Vargas Llosa spent his childhood between Bolivia and Peru, and after finishing his primary studies, he collaborated in the newspapers La Crónica and La Industria. In 1952, he wrote a play entitled La Huida del Inca, which premiered in a theater in Lima. He studied literature and law at the Universidad Nacional Mayor de San Marcos and began to collaborate professionally in newspapers and magazines, being editor of Cuadernos de Composición and the magazine Literatura. In 1958, he was awarded the Javier Prado Scholarship to study at the Universidad Complutense de Madrid, where he obtained a PhD in philosophy and literature. A year later, he moved to Paris, where he worked in different media until he managed to join the Agence France Presse and, later, French radio and television, where he met numerous Latin American writers. In 1965, he joined the Cuban magazine Casa de las Americas as a member of its editorial board and remained there until 1971. During those years, he acted several times as a jury member of the Casa de las Americas Awards. He later traveled to New York, invited to the PN Club World Congress, and took up residence in London, where he worked as a professor of Hispanic American literature at Queen Mary College. During this period, he also worked as a translator for UNESCO in Greece, alongside Julio Cortázar, until 1974. His life and that of his family took place in Europe, residing in Paris, London, and Barcelona. In 1975, he began a series of film projects, and in March of that year, he was elected a full member of the Royal Peruvian Academy of Language. In 1976, he was elected president of the International PN Club, a position he held until 1979. In Peru, he presented the television program La Torre de Babel, and in 1983, he presided over the investigative commission of the Uchuruque case, dedicated to solving the murder of 8 journalists. At the end of the 80s, he entered the world of politics in Peru, and in 1990, he returned to London, where he resumed his literary activity. In March 1993, he obtained Spanish nationality, without renouncing his Peruvian nationality. He collaborates with the newspaper El País and the cultural magazine Letras Libres. In 1994, he was named a member of the Royal Spanish Academy, and that same year, he won the Miguel de Cervantes Prize. Later, he was awarded an honorary doctorate by numerous universities. His work has been translated into more than 30 languages. In 2013, he was awarded the El Mundo Columnist Award in recognition of his journalistic career. Main works by Mario Vargas Llosa. The Bosses. Los Jefes. The Bosses is a short novel written by Mario Vargas Llosa in 1959. The story takes place in a small town in the Peruvian mountains and revolves around the figure of the town's mayor, Don Santos Trinidad, who exercises authoritarian control over the community. Don Santos is a charismatic and feared character, capable of manipulating the town's inhabitants at will. The story mainly follows a young man named Caio, who works as Don Santos' assistant. Through Caio's eyes, the reader observes the oppression and corruption that characterize life in the town, as well as the complex and manipulative relationship between Don Santos and his subordinates. As the story progresses, Caio is faced with ethical and moral conflicts, especially when he falls in love with a young woman named Marcela, whose family is against Don Santos. This leads him to question his loyalty to the mayor and to reflect on power and corruption. In short, The Bosses is a work that examines themes such as the abuse of power and the corruption of the people. Power, manipulation, loyalty, and morality through the story of a small town in the Peruvian highlands and the figure of its authoritarian mayor. The City and the Dogs. La Ciudad y los Perros. The City and the Dogs is a novel written by Mario Vargas Llosa and published in 1963. The story takes place in a military school in Lima, Peru, and follows the lives of a group of young cadets. The plot focuses on the social dynamics and power relations within the school, where the cadets are subject to a rigid and often abusive system of discipline. The school is a microcosm of Peruvian society, where the racial, socioeconomic, and political tensions of the time are reflected. The story is structured around four main cadets: the jaguar, the poet, the slave, and the boa. Each of them represents different aspects of masculinity and identity in conflict. Through flashbacks and narration from different points of view, secrets, rivalries, and betrayals are revealed, culminating in an act of violence that shakes the school community. The City and the Dogs is a deeply critical work that explores themes such as corruption, violence, identity, and morality. It is also a reflection on the influence of institutions in the formation of the personality and character of individuals. The novel is considered one of the most important works of 20th century Latin American literature and established Vargas Llosa as one of the most prominent writers of his generation. The Greenhouse. La Casa Verde. The Greenhouse is a novel written by Mario Vargas Llosa and published in 1966. The story takes place primarily in two settings: the fictional city of Piura, in Peru, and the Amazon rainforest. The plot follows the lives of several characters, but the main ones are Bonifacia, a prostitute known as the Girl, Anselmo, her lover, and Fushia, a mysterious woman who awakens the desire of many men in the jungle. Through their intertwined stories, the novel explores themes such as violence, passion, redemption, and the search for freedom. The Greenhouse, a brothel in the city of Piura, serves as a focal point for the various narratives that unfold throughout the novel. It is a meeting place for characters from different backgrounds and circumstances, and where their fates intertwine in unexpected ways. The novel also features flashbacks that reveal the characters' pasts and how their experiences have shaped their lives and relationships. As the plot progresses, themes such as identity, marginality, corruption, and the search for redemption are explored. In short, The Greenhouse is a complex and multifaceted work that offers a deep look at the human condition through vivid characters and intense situations, all framed against the lush backdrop of the Amazon rainforest and Peruvian society of the time. Conversation in the Cathedral. Conversación en la Catedral. Conversation in the Cathedral is a novel written by Mario Vargas Llosa and published in 1969. This masterpiece of Latin American literature features a complex and profound narrative structure, as well as a detailed exploration of themes such as political corruption, personal identity, and the search for meaning in Peruvian society in the 1950s. The story revolves around Santiago Zavala, a young journalist, and his chance encounter with Ambrosio, a former government chauffeur, in a bar called La Catedral. Throughout the novel, the two characters engage in a prolonged and tangled conversation in which they recall events and relationships from their past lives. Through these memories, the story of Santiago, his father, Don Fermin, an influential man in Peruvian politics, and other characters who gravitate around them is revealed. The narrative is intertwined with the political history of Peru during the government of Manuel Odría and the subsequent dictatorship of Manuel Odría, offering a critical view of corruption, repression, and lack of freedom in Peruvian society at the time. The novel presents a multiplicity of narrative voices and time jumps, reflecting the complexity and fragmentation of Peruvian reality. As the plot progresses, themes such as moral decay, alienation, the search for truth, and confrontation with the past are explored. Conversation in the Cathedral is a masterful work that offers a deep and penetrating look at Peruvian society in the mid-20th century through an innovative narrative structure and a complex thematic exploration. Pantaleon and the Visitors. Pantaleón y las Visitadoras. Pantaleon while Las Visitadoras is a novel written by Mario Vargas Llosa and published in 1973. The story is set in 1950s Peru and follows the life of Pantaleon Pantoja, a captain in the Peruvian army who is charged with establishing a sexual visitation service to satisfy the sexual needs of soldiers held in remote areas of the jungle. Pantaleon is a meticulous and disciplined man, known for his efficiency and loyalty to the army. When he is assigned this secret task, he embarks on it with a sense of duty and responsibility. However, as he progresses in his mission, Pantaleon finds himself increasingly caught up in a world of intrigue, complications, and ethical dilemmas. The novel explores themes such as power, corruption, morality, and hypocrisy through the eyes of Pantaleon, who faces moral dilemmas as he tries to fulfill his duty and maintain his impeccable reputation. As he becomes more immersed in his work, Pantaleon begins to question his own beliefs and confronts the reality of the human and social conflicts surrounding his work. In addition to the main plot centered on Pantaleon, the novel also features a number of colorful and memorable secondary characters, representing different aspects of Peruvian society at the time. In short, Pantaleon y los Visitadores is an intelligent and provocative satire that examines the complexities of morality and ethics in a context of power and corruption. Aunt Julia and the Scriptwriter. La tía Julia y el escribidor. Aunt Julia and the Scriptwriter is a novel written and published in 1977. The story takes place in the city of Lima, Peru, during the 1950s and follows the life of a young man named Mario, who works at a local radio station and falls in love with his aunt-in-law, Julia. The plot is divided into two intertwined narrative lines. On the one hand, the love affair between Mario and his aunt-in-law, Julia, a divorced woman older than him. And on the other hand, the story of Pedro Camacho, a writer of radio soap operas who works at the same radio station where Mario works. Throughout the novel, Mario faces opposition from his family and conservative Peruvian society to his relationship with Julia. Meanwhile, Pedro Camacho creates and narrates extravagant, action-packed stories for radio soap operas, becoming a fascinating and eccentric figure to Mario and the other radio employees. The novel addresses themes such as love, passion, creativity, art, and everyday life in 1950s Lima. Through the relationship between Mario and Julia, as well as Pedro Camacho's radio soap operas, Vargas LLosa offers a vibrant and humorous exploration of the complexities of human relationships and the creative process. Aunt Julia and the Scriptwriter is an entertaining and captivating novel that combines elements of romantic comedy with the exploration of deeper, more complex themes about love, creativity, and Peruvian society at the time. The War at the End of the World. La Guerra del Fin del Mundo. The War at the End of the World is a novel written by Mario Vargas LLosa and published in 1981. This work is based on historical events and focuses on the Canudos War, a conflict that occurred in Brazil at the end of the 19th century. The plot takes place in northeastern Brazil, specifically in the Canudos region, where a religious leader named Antonio Conselheiro has established a utopian and messianic community. The novel narrates the rise and fall of this community, as well as the violent conflict that arises between its followers and the Brazilian government. Vargas LLosa presents a wide variety of characters, from the charismatic leader to the soldiers, political leaders, settlers, and other local inhabitants who are caught up in the conflict. Through their perspectives, the novel explores themes such as faith, politics, violence, power, and the struggle for survival in a hostile and turbulent environment. The narrative of the War of the End of the World is rich in historical and social detail, and Vargas LLosa uses a variety of narrative techniques to create a vivid and complex picture of the time and place. The novel is structured in multiple layers and presents different points of view, allowing the reader to gain a full understanding of the events and their implications. In short, The War at the End of the World is an epic novel that offers a deep and exciting exploration of a crucial moment in Brazilian history, as well as universal themes such as faith, violence, and the fight for freedom and justice. Maida's Story. Historia de Maita. Maida's Story is a novel written by Mario Vargas LLosa and published in 1984. The story is set in Lima, Peru, during the 1950s, and follows the life of a character named Manuel Maida, a radical political activist who participated in the armed struggle in his youth. The novel is structured in the form of a retrospective narrative, where Maida, now in maturity, remembers and reflects on his past experiences. Through his memories, the reader witnesses the events that led Maida to become involved in revolutionary politics, as well as the motives and circumstances that led him to make certain decisions. Maida is a complex and contradictory character, whose actions and beliefs are influenced by his social, political, and personal environment. As the story progresses, secrets, betrayals, and ambiguities are revealed, shedding light on the nature of political struggle and the search for ideals in a context of repression and corruption. The novel also introduces a gallery of secondary characters, each with their own motivations and perspectives, who contribute to enriching the plot and offering a panoramic view of Peruvian society at the time. In short, Historia de Maida is a work that explores themes such as politics, identity, betrayal, and the search for meaning in a world marked by violence and uncertainty. It is a deep and insightful reflection on human nature and the complexities of the struggle for justice and freedom. Who Killed Palomino Molero? ¿Quién mató a Palomino Molero? Who Killed Palomino Molero is a novel written and published in 1986. The story takes place in a small town on the northern coast of Peru during the 1950s and follows the investigation of a crime. Corporal Lituma and Sergeant Silva, two police officers from the Civil Guard, are assigned to investigate the murder of Palomino Molero, a young army recruit. They soon discover that the case is much more complicated than it appears at first glance. The novel presents a series of colorful and complex characters who are linked in some way to the crime, including Palomino's parents, his friends, and fellow officers, as well as other townspeople. As they advance in the investigation, Lituma and Silva discover a web of intrigues, secrets, and rivalries that complicate the case and endanger their own lives. Vargas LLosa's narrative explores themes such as corruption, violence, abuse of power, and social injustice in Peruvian society at the time. It also offers a reflection on human nature and the complexity of truth and justice in an environment where law and order are easily manipulated by those in positions of power. Who Killed Palomino Molero is an intriguing detective novel that combines elements of suspense, mystery, and social criticism to offer a vivid and penetrating view of mid-20th century Peruvian reality. The Talker, El Hablador. The Talker is a novel published in 1987. The story centers on a young anthropologist named Saul Zaradas, who travels to the Peruvian Amazon rainforest to study a fictional indigenous tribe called the Mashigangas. During his stay in the jungle, Saul meets a mysterious man known as Mascarita, who becomes his guide and mentor. Mascarita is a member of the tribe who has adopted the custom of narrating oral stories, thus transmitting the oral tradition of his people. Through Mascarita's stories, Saul begins to understand and appreciate the culture and worldview of the Mashigangas, as well as the importance of orality in their society. However, as he delves deeper into his research, Saul is faced with ethical and moral dilemmas, as his actions may have negative consequences for the indigenous community. The novel addresses themes such as identity, colonization, cultural exploitation, and the relationship between tradition and modernity. It also offers a reflection on the role of the narrator and the importance of stories in the construction of individual and collective identity. In short, El Hablador is a novel that combines elements of anthropology, literature, and philosophical reflection to offer a deep and moving exploration of cultural diversity and the complexity of human relationships in the context of the Peruvian Amazon rainforest. In Praise of the Stepmother, Elogio de la Madrastra. In Praise of the Stepmother is a novel written by Mario Vargas LLosa and published in 1988. The story focuses on the complex relationships between the characters and how desire and passion affect their lives. The plot revolves around a married couple in Lima, Peru, consisting of the narrator, Don Rigoberto, and his young wife, Lucrecia. As the story progresses, other characters are introduced, such as Fonchito, Don Rigoberto's preteen son from a previous marriage, and Lucrecia's niece, named Camacho. The novel explores sexuality, desire, and the play of power in human relationships. Lucrecia, in particular, is portrayed as a seductive woman who exerts a strong power of attraction over men, including her own husband. As the story unfolds, secrets and fantasies are unraveled, and the relationships between the characters become even more complicated. Vargas Llosa's narrative is sensual and provocative, exploring taboo subjects and challenging social conventions. Through rich language and evocative prose, the author invites the reader to reflect on the nature of human desire and the complexities of intimacy. In Praise of the Stepmother is a novel that combines the exploration of human passions with reflection on art and literature. It is a provocative work that challenges social norms and questions moral conventions, inviting the reader to explore the darkest corners of the human psyche. Before continuing to comment on the following works by Mario, if you found the video useful, we would appreciate it if you give it a like to support our project, and if you subscribe. You can tell us, what do you think of these works? Did you read any of them? Which one do you like the most? We will be attentive to read you in the comments. We continue with the summaries. Litumo in the Andes. Litumo en los Andes. Litumo in the Andes is a novel written by Mario Vargas Llosa and published in 1993. The story takes place in the Peruvian Andes, in a remote and mountainous region, and follows the investigation of a case of disappearance in the midst of a context of political and social violence. The main plot follows Corporal Lituma and Sergeant Carreño, two police officers of the Civil Guard, who were sent to investigate the disappearance of an engineer and his girlfriend in a town in the Andes. As they progress in their investigation, they discover that the case is linked to the presence of the Shining Path, a guerrilla group active in the region, and to the political violence affecting the community. The novel presents a series of local characters, each with their own stories and motivations, who are affected by the violence and uncertainty prevailing in the region. Through their perspectives, Vargas Llosa offers a penetrating view of the Peruvian reality of the time and examines themes such as corruption, social injustice, and the struggle for survival in a hostile and dangerous environment. In addition to the main plot of the investigation, the novel also features flashbacks that reveal Lituma's personal history, including his experiences in the jungle and his relationship with a woman named Bonifacia. These elements add depth and complexity to the narrative, exploring themes such as love, loyalty, and sacrifice. In short, Litumo in the Andes is a novel that combines elements of suspense, mystery, and social criticism to offer a deep and moving exploration of the Peruvian reality of the 1980s, marked by political violence and the fight for justice and freedom. The Feast of the Goat, La Fiesta del Chivo. The Feast of the Goat is a novel written by Mario Vargas Llosa and published in 2000. This work is set in the Dominican Republic and narrates the historical events surrounding the dictatorship of Rafael Leonidas Trujillo, who ruled the country with an iron fist from 1930 until his assassination in 1961. The narrative of the novel is structured in two main timelines. On the one hand, it tells the story of Urania Cabral, a successful lawyer who returns to the Dominican Republic after many years of absence. Urania was the victim of a trauma during the Trujillo regime, and her return triggers a series of memories and confrontations with her past and her family. On the other hand, the novel portrays Trujillo's final days through the eyes of several characters, including the dictator himself. Conspiracies and betrayals within his inner circle are revealed, as well as the brutal repression and widespread corruption that characterized his regime. Throughout the novel, themes such as abuse of power, corruption, political violence, and the fight for freedom and justice are explored. Vargas Llosa presents a vivid and raw view of Trujillo's dictatorship and its devastating effects on Dominican society. The Feast of the Goat is a historical and political novel that offers a penetrating look at one of the darkest periods in Latin American history. Through evocative prose and vivid characters, Vargas Llosa creates a captivating narrative that captures the complexity and tragedy of life under an authoritarian regime. Paradise in the Other Corner. El Paraíso en la Otra Esquina. Paradise in the Other Corner is a historical novel published by Mario Vargas Llosa in 2003. The work delves into the lives of Flora Tristan, a 19th century feminist and socialist, and Paul Gauguin, the famous post-impressionist painter. The novel intertwines the lives of these two characters who, although they never met in reality, share a series of similar experiences and struggles. Flora Tristan is a fighter who seeks social justice and women's rights in an era when they were relegated to secondary roles in society. On the other hand, Paul Gauguin is an artist who seeks to escape conventional bourgeois life in search of freedom and inspiration in exotic and faraway places. The novel explores the travels and experiences of these two characters, as well as their ideals and internal struggles. Through his stories, Vargas LLosa offers a reflection on themes such as the search for happiness, the meaning of art, social inequalities, and cultural conflicts. The narrative is full of historical details and vivid descriptions that transport the reader to different times and places, from 19th century Paris to the exotic islands of Polynesia. Paradise in the Other Corner is a work that combines fiction with historical reality, offering a fascinating insight into the lives of two extraordinary characters and the turbulent times in which they lived. Mischief of a Bad Girl. Travesuras de una niña mala. A Bad Girl's Mischief is a novel published in 2006. The story follows the life of Ricardo Somocurcio, a Peruvian man who recalls his tumultuous love affair with a mysterious woman known as La Nina Mala. The plot takes place over several decades and spans different countries, including Peru, Chile, Paris, and London. La Nina Mala, whose real name is Lily, is a seductive and enigmatic woman who enters and leaves Ricardo's life in unpredictable ways. Throughout the novel, the ups and downs of their relationship, marked by passion, obsession, and disenchantment, are revealed. The story also offers a portrait of the social and political changes that occurred in Latin America and Europe during the 20th century. As Ricardo follows La Nina Mala through her adventures and misadventures, he meets intriguing characters and faces ethical and emotional dilemmas. A Bad Girl's Mischief is a novel of love and desire, but also of loss and redemption. Through Vargas LLosa's vivid and evocative prose, the reader is transported into a world filled with intense emotions and unexpected situations. The work is a reflection on human nature, the power of love, and the complexity of interpersonal relationships. The Celt's Dream. El Sueño del Celta. The Celt's Dream is a historical novel published in 2010. The work is based on the life of Roger Casement, an Irish and British activist who dedicated his life to defending human rights and denouncing the abuses committed during European colonialism in Africa. The plot follows Casement's life, from his early experiences as a diplomat in the Belgian Congo, where he witnesses the brutal regime of Leopold II and the horrors of the forced labor system in rubber harvesting, to his efforts to expose the atrocities committed in the region. The narrative also explores Casement's involvement in the struggle for Irish independence and his subsequent fall from grace due to a sexual scandal that was used by the British government to discredit him. Throughout the novel, Vargas LLosa addresses themes such as colonialism, racism, oppression, and the fight for social justice. He uses Casement's story as a means to reflect on the human condition and the moral dilemmas faced by those who fight for freedom and dignity in a world marked by injustice and violence. El Sueño del Celta is a work that combines historical research with literary imagination to create a complex and fascinating portrait of one of the most controversial and exciting characters of the 20th century. Fonchito and the Moon. Fonchito y la Luna. Fonchito and the Moon is a short work written by Mario Vargas LLosa, published in 2010. It is a children's novel that tells the story of a boy named Fonchito, who embarks on a fantastic and poetic adventure in search of a very special gift for the girl he is in love with, Nereida. The book takes place in a coastal city in Peru, where Fonchito lives with his grandfather, who tells him stories about the moon and the importance of dreams. One day, Fonchito decides to give a unique gift to Nereida, who has asked him for the moon as a sign of her love. Convinced that he can make it, Fonchito begins his quest, facing challenges and obstacles along the way. As the story progresses, Fonchito meets mysterious characters and enters imaginative worlds that lead him closer to his goal. Throughout his journey, the boy learns valuable lessons about love, friendship, and the importance of pursuing dreams, as he immerses himself in a universe full of magic and fantasy. Fonchito and the Moon is a charming work that combines the tenderness of childhood with the poetry of imagination. Through his simple and evocative style, Vargas Llosa creates a moving tale that invites readers, both young and old, to reflect on the beauty of the world around us and the power of the deepest desires of the heart. The Discreet Hero, El Héroe Discreto. The Discreet Hero is a novel written by Mario Vargas Llosa and published in 2013. The plot is set in the city of Lima, Peru, and follows the intertwined lives of two main characters. Felicito Yanak, a transport businessman who refuses to pay extortion money to a mysterious character called Darude, and Don Rigoberto, a middle-class man who finds himself caught up in a whirlwind of events after receiving an anonymous letter accusing him of adultery. The story takes place in a context of corruption and political violence, where the lives of the characters are affected by organized crime, betrayal, and the search for power. As the plot progresses, the destinies of Felicito and Don Rigoberto intertwine in unexpected ways, and both are forced to confront their own demons and make decisions that will change their lives forever. The novel explores themes such as morality, honor, loyalty, and redemption through the complex psychology of its characters. Vargas Llosa weaves an intriguing and exciting story that keeps the reader in suspense until the end, while offering a reflection on human nature and the forces that shape our lives. The Discreet Hero is a work that stands out for its captivating narrative style, its well-crafted plot, and its memorable characters. Through this story, Vargas Llosa invites us to reflect on the meaning of heroism and the importance of the decisions we make in life, even when they go unnoticed by others. Five Corners, Cinco Esquinas. Cinco Esquinas is a novel written by Mario Vargas Llosa and published in 2016. The story takes place in Lima, Peru, in the late 1990s, during the turbulent political period marked by the authoritarian regime of President Alberto Fujimori. The plot focuses on two childhood friends, Marissa and Chabela, whose lives become unexpectedly intertwined due to a sexual scandal involving a powerful man and a young model. Marissa, the wife of an important businessman, is caught up in the scandal when she discovers that her husband is having an affair with a model, while Chabela, the owner of a tabloid newspaper, sees in this story the perfect opportunity to increase sales of her newspaper. As the scandal unfolds, the novel explores the lives of the secondary characters, including journalists, politicians, businessmen, and members of Lima society, all of them affected in one way or another by the climate of corruption, violence, and political manipulation that prevails at the time. Cinco Esquinas is a work that addresses issues such as power, corruption, freedom of the press, morality, and journalistic ethics. Through an agile and provocative narrative, Vargas Llosa offers a vivid and critical portrait of Peruvian society at a crucial moment in its recent history. The novel stands out for its complex characters and intriguing plot, as well as for its ability to capture the atmosphere and moral dilemmas of an era marked by excessive ambition and impunity. In short, Cinco Esquinas is a powerful work that offers a profound reflection on the darkest aspects of contemporary society. And in this way, we would be finishing about the biography and most important works of Mario Vargas Llosa. But now it's your turn to tell us, what did you think of these works? Did you read any of them? Which is your favorite? We will be attentive to be able to read you in the comments. If you found the video useful, we would appreciate it if you give it a like to support our project and if you subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.